education. Driver's education is a formal program or course to teach individuals how to operate a motor vehicle safely and responsibly. We're going to be talking about risk today and some of the associations and how you become a good driver. The definition of risk. Risk is the chance of injury, damage, or loss. This includes drivers' intended contributions to a crash. Driver's education typically includes both a classroom instruction, I'm a state certified driving instructor, I'm in at West, and also behind the wheel, it's called BTW. This is where we train you how to drive through neighborhoods. We start off in school parking lots. We practice making 12 right turns, 12 left turns. We practice pulling over to the side without getting on the curb. Most state laws require you to park within 12 inches of a curb. According to the National Highway Safety Transportation System, they recommend parking within 12 inches or less to a curb. If you're past 12 inches, you're going to be out in the street. You could be subject to a ticket. If you're closer than 12 inches, your tire is going to be on the curb and you will get a ticket. Hello. Next, risk is always present. Whenever you drive, risk is out there. If you're in your neighborhood, you could risk backing into a car. Little kids are playing in the street. Neighbors are not paying attention. Kids are on the motorcycles and mopeds. So you really have to be careful. On the highways, users on the roadways, and vehicles driving. Perception differs. When you're younger, you don't think you're going to have an accident. As you get older, you realize I have really got to be careful and make good decisions. Hello, Tomato. It's really important that you analyze where you're on your driver's education journey. The younger you are, the more likely you are not to pay attention to the risk and take more risk. The older you are, you realize, wow, I don't want to have an accident. Wow, I don't want my insurance to go up. Wow, my car just got paid off and I want to make it last as long as possible. Risk differs from person to person. Typically, males tend to be more aggressive. Females are less aggressive. Based on state standards and test and crash data, males tend to drive much faster than females. This is why males tend to have higher insurance rates than females. Risk can be changed based on the perception of the risk, based on the decisions that drivers make. Anytime you go to a professional driving school, it is always a good choice. Let's use me as an example. Every 2 years, I have to go through a state certification test. I have to take a physical examination. I have to have an extensive background check. Every 2 years, I learn best practices to better serve my adults, my teens, and adults with anxiety 18 to 36 years old. It's always good to go to a driving school because he or she has learned best practices. They're right on top of their game in terms of mental, emotional, and physical stability, and you're going to get a good instructor. I highly suggest you visit several driving schools in person, talk to the instructors, talk to the owners, look at the driver's ed cars, go into the office, but it varies. A lot of schools are online because they suits the needs of the learner. My school is online. We drive on the weekends. We drive after school. We drive Thursdays. It depends on what you need. If you're an adult and you need 4 to 7 lessons, I suggest you go in, talk to the driver's ed instructor. Hey, I'm an adult. I have my TIP, that's the temporary instructor permit. I want to start driving. I want to prepare. So do your research and take your time. It's a very good question. Good, you just got your learner's permit. Keep learning. Driver's education courses typically cover traffic laws. They cover defensive driving techniques. They cover dangers of distracted driving. Hello, I've been practicing driving since December. Went to driving school and I'm now taking my test in June. Well, you've come to the right channel. You've come to the right live. What I need you to do after I'm done, I need you to subscribe. And then when I go live, come in, ask questions. This is for you. Every time you drive, you need to make a habit of checking your tires, checking your gauges, means the car warming up properly. Is there antifreeze leaking on the ground? I'm here in Texas right now. There was a cat hiding under the client's car. And when we came over, we saw something move. A cat ran up from underneath the car. You don't expect those things. So you really have to beware. By the way, it's 90 degrees outside. I'm inside the studio right now, but later today, we'll be driving back through Houston. Excuse me. Back to Houston to the airport, and then I'll go live then. But let's continue. So you can't be scared to go out and take that first step. And if I encourage all of you to take that first step, then I've done my job. You also have to check your mirrors. Get inside your vehicle, sit down. Adjust your center mirror. Adjust your left mirror. Adjust your right mirror. Get those mirrors adjusted so you can see and be seen. Don't be scared to make eye contact with other drivers. Look to the left, look straight, look right. Check those mirrors. In multiple lane roundabouts, you should change lanes before you enter the roundabout. Roundabouts are very common in the United States, in the UK, and all over the world. So yield, check traffic, pause. Don't lose your turn. In many high schools, they offer driver's education as a course of their curriculum, and students may be required to complete these courses in order to attain your license. Due to recent cutbacks across the United States, a lot of schools have cut back on driver's education. I support public use of driver's education and to allow our public schools to teach. I'll give you a tip. There's a shortage of instructors. A lot of these instructors are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and 90. As a result, I want you to take your time to make sure you understand what you need to do to be successful. You've got to do your research. You got to find a class that meets your needs and also your timetable. Most of the classes are 2 hours, and it's over a 6-week period. This varies across the United States. If you're an adult over 18, you're going to the Secretary of State. You're getting something called a TIP. A TIP is a temporary instruction permit. This allows you to practice driving with someone over 21. I highly suggest you have someone to support you so you can reach your goals. And if you reach your goals, you're going to be very, very successful. And success breeds confidence. Let's continue. Your seat should be adjusted at an angle so you're about at a 45-degree angle. You want to be able to pivot your foot. This is my hand. Let's pretend it's your foot. You want to be able to pivot your foot between the gas and brake without lifting your heel off. You've got to feel comfortable in the car. And if you don't feel comfortable in the car, you won't drive very well. Some instructors talk a little too much. Sometimes I'll talk too much. Other instructors don't talk at all. You want to find a balance. And it really depends on what you need. For me, I was driving with a person who is 25 of age. They told me that it varies. Yes, you won't find 18-year-olds teaching driver's ed. You won't find 21 teaching driver's ed. Typically, it's going to be your 25 and up because 18 to 21-year-olds are driving, they're in college, they're working. After about 25, you should know what you want to do with your life. You should. Driver's education and teaching people how to drive and in the transportation industry is a great opportunity. There's always going to be a need for really good instructors. In addition to high school programs, they are private schools. I've worked in public schools, I've worked in private schools, and I've worked for third-party driver's education programs across the country that typically I drive anywhere from 500 to 1,200 students a year. And I have a lot of data and information to help you. And I will be coming out with some digital products that you can purchase very soon that will prepare you for your road test, that will prepare you for your drives, and to help you understand. Head restraints, when adjusted properly, provide protection in the event of a rear-end collision. You'll be knocked forward, and when you come back, you want to have the head restraint in the middle of your head, so you want to have it adjusted properly. Typically, students under 5'1", between 5'1" and 4'11", have a little bit of a difficult time. You might have to bring a book or a pillow. Students over 5'10" to 6'1", usually going to have a seat all the way back, have your seat adjusted properly. Based on AAA, the preferred method is 7 and 5. So let's pretend this is the steering wheel, this is 9 and 3, this is 10 and 2. 7 and 5 is the preferred method of holding the steering wheel because there is an airbag in the center, and upon a collision or impact, that airbag will come out, so we don't want to break our thumbs. So 7 and 5, based upon AAA, is a good, comfortable method to turn the wheel and have your hands. If the temperature gauge light comes on when driving, you should pull over, open your hood, and allow the car to cool off. You never want to open the hood, turn the radiator cap when the motor is hot, and have the antifreeze and coolant burn you. So you want to let the car cool off. Hand over hand steering is a method of pushing and pulling the steering wheel. Is preferred in parallel parking, is preferred in right-hand turns. There's more than one way to turn the steering wheel. There's hand to hand, okay? There's hand over hand. There's palming the wheel. There is underhand where you're throwing the wheel. Steering is really a very personal preference. In the United States, most drivers are driving hand over hand. In the UK, they're driving hand to hand, and they also have manuals. So you're going to be shifting with your left foot, pushing the clutch in. You're going to be using your right hand to shift into second, third, fourth, and fifth. Where in the United States, we're going to push up one on the brake, put it in D for drive, and then the car's moving forward forever. We want to reverse, we put our foot on the brake, we put the shifter in R, and then we're in reverse. So automatics, you have a brake, you stop the vehicle, you shift to the desired gear. In a manual, you're pushing in the clutch, disconnecting the flywheel, clutch, and transmission, and then you shift into gear. Four-way emergency stops warn the drivers that other cars are coming in opposing directions. You might want to make note of this. A lot of beginning drivers and drivers through experience get confused at four-way stops. Here's the simple rule. The first car to get to the stop is the first car to leave. Well, what if two cars come together at the same time? The car to my right, this is my right. The car to my right, no pun intended, has the right of way. If you're not sure, you can wait, let the other person go by, and then keep going. Your vehicle's outside mirror should be adjusted so that the blind spots are reduced. This is true. As you're about to enter the vehicle from the street, you should proceed from the front of a vehicle. You never want to turn your back to oncoming traffic because you could get hit. I have to tell you a story. I had a client last summer. His mother got hit by a person opening the door. It's called dooring the bicyclists. They should have done the Dutch reach, where they're reaching with the right hand to open the door. This turns your back and opens the door. She had a carbon fiber bike that was about $3,000, lightweight rims, professional bike rider. When the person opened the door, she flipped over the door, split her bike in half, dislocated her chin, knocked out 3 teeth, and had her cheeks fractured. She was okay. So I want you to learn from that. You have to really be careful when you park and get out from your vehicle. Check your mirror. Look over your shoulder. Use your right hand to open the door. I've done a series on pedestrians and bicyclists. It is in my list of videos, and I will go over that again soon. Let's continue. You have the right of way when only someone gives you the right of way. Some of the biggest questions I get: who has the right of way? Who has the right of way? The first car to get there has the right of way. Who has the right of way? Who has the right of way? 3 cars come together at the same time. The car on the right. If you're not sure, you can wait. What if cars come together at all 4 intersections, all 4 areas? The cars to the right. Always take your time. Driver's education requirements vary from state to state and country to country. They differ in jurisdictions. If we were driving in Texas, which I am now, the rules are different than in the Midwest. If we're driving in California, the rules are different than Tennessee. If we're driving in Canada, and I was going to Montreal, the rules are different because we are in a different country. Every country has custom pavement markings, so you always want to be aware. And you always want to make sure that you're making good decisions when you drive. And if you're not sure, seek assistance. Next, a driver's field of vision should include the areas on the highway, on the surroundings. If I'm driving in downtown Houston, you want to make sure that you're at the speed limit. You want to make sure that you're looking left, middle, right. There are 6 lanes, 8 lanes of traffic. There are multiple toll roads, and I haven't talked about toll roads yet, where you have to have a sticker on your windshield. If not, you will get a bill in the mail because they have digital cameras that will take a picture of your license, and if you don't have the proper paperwork or digital certificate on your car, you will get a ticket. I had a client get over $300 in tickets. So then we realized you don't have the toll decal on your car. And once we got that, you're good. When driving on a one-way street past vehicles on the left, you should position your vehicle to the right. You always want to have room. Always assume people will open doors. They'll walk between cars. Pedestrians are the most vulnerable. Research has shown that completing a driver's education course can lead to safer driving behaviors and reduce crash risk among drivers. So some of you had asked me, should I take a driver's education course, private lessons? By all means. There's nothing wrong with public school. But if you're over 18, 25-year-olds don't go in high school classes. Now, they may have an adult driver's education program, so you need to clarify and find out. But typically in the public school, you're going to have that 14-9 to about 17. And then in a third-party class, an adult class, you're going to have 19 up to about 70 years old. Which of the following is true for regarding mirrors? Drivers should glance in their mirrors often when driving. This is true. You don't want to stare. I'm staring right now in my mirror. I just went off the road. I'm staring in my left mirror. I just went off the road. I'm staring in my right mirror. I just went off the road. It's a quick glance. Look to get information. Is there someone there? Look over your shoulder. Turn on your blinker. Make your move. Which of the following is true? The driver passed parked vehicles on the right. You should put your car to the left position of the road because cars are to the right. When you're preparing to move your vehicle, after you shifted the gear, what is the next step? You want to put your park brake down. In the UK and also in the United States, if you don't activate your park brake or put it down, that could be a deduction in points. Airbags, they're designed to be used with seat belts. The airbag will come out in case of a front collision and to help protect you, but you have to wear your seat belt. Emergency flashers will warn other drivers of a problem. You could have a flat tire, your car could be overheated, your car might not be working properly. So don't be scared to use your flashers. A good habit of checking your fuel level every trip is to refuel when your vehicle gets to 1/4 of a tank. Don't wait till the fuel light comes on. You're going to overheat your fuel pump. The fuel pump is a small cylinder in your gas tank, and that fuel pump is cooled by the gasoline in the tank. If you run your tank level low, you're going to overheat the pump, and eventually that pump won't work. How do I know? I had a client who kept driving their car on E, and eventually they burned up the fuel pump. So you want to make sure that you have gasoline. The moral of the story is when the car gets in between half and a fourth, if you have the money, go ahead and put that gas in. To make small adjustments while parking, you use idle acceleration. You never want to be on the gas really fast. I've had students go over the curb. I've had students sideswipe cars because they're hitting the gas really hard. Don't hit the gas pedal extremely hard. Take your time. Hey, this is bringing you value. Give it a thumbs up. This is really important. What's just the following is an appropriate use for the horn? To warn other drivers of potential hazards. Someone is backing up, bump, bump, bump. Someone is pulling off from their driveway. You want to tap the horn. Maybe a pedestrian. The horn is meant to alert a driver. If the rear tire blows out, you might experience an oversteer because the rear of the car is going to sway from left to right, left to right. You want to hold the steering wheel firmly. How often should you check the air pressure in your tires? Monthly, every 30 days. Rubber is porous. There are little micro holes in there and the air will seep out. So you want to check your tires in the morning when they are cold, COLD. How can a driver learn about technology systems in a vehicle? You want to check the owner's manual. Also, vehicles are updated with wireless updates all the time. Some driver's education programs teach defensive driving, advanced driving practices, and crash avoidance. While performing your pre-driving check, you can accurately determine your tire pressure by using a tire pressure gauge. This is a long tube that has a little gauge that comes out. You push it on the valve stem, and then the Schrader valve, when you push that, the air blows out. This will blow out the gauge, and it will tell you, typically when cold, you want your tires 32, 34, 35. You'll have the recommended manufacturer's air pressure either printed on the tire or on your door seal. Lane departure warning systems work by reading the lanes with a camera. So if your car has more advanced features, you want to make sure your car is cleaned off. If you live on a dirt road, you might want to clean the car off once a week. You always want to make sure your car is in good condition. Your headlights are clean, your windshield is clean, so you can use your blinkers properly and you don't lose visibility of your headlights. When should you use your low beam headlights? All the time. You want to use them at nighttime. You want to use them during the daytime and inclement weather. Most cars today in 2024 have daytime running lights. This allows drivers to see and be seen. Proper braking technique that uses the heel of the foot on the floor requires the driver to use the ball of the foot. You don't want to use the tip of your toes. This is the ball of my hand. You want to use the ball of your foot to squeeze the brake. You don't want to slam the brake. You want to squeeze the brake very carefully. The goal of driver's education is to prepare new drivers for the challenges on the road. When you're parked curbside and plan to exit the vehicle, use your right hand. You remember I talked about the Dutch reach? You've got to use your right hand to look over your shoulder. You've got to check your inside mirror and look, because you don't want to door a bicyclist, a motorcyclist, or open your door when a car comes by. You're at a red light. The traffic light turns green, but there are still vehicles in intersection. You should wait until all the vehicles clear and your path of travel is open. You want to look left, right, and left again, and then your final check is to the right because you want to look where you're going. Thank you. Where might you encounter equestrians? Parades and along roadsides. I'm in Texas right now. There are a lot of horses here. There are people riding horses. So you got to be aware of that and be safe. You don't want to use horns to startle the animals because they could get very scared. If you must stop suddenly and your vehicle is equipped with ABS, you want to apply the brakes, and the computer will micropulse the brake pads on the rotors. If you don't have ABS, you want to pump the brakes, let up, pump the brakes, let up, pump the brakes, and let up. This is giving you real advice on information to help you be a successful driver and get you on the road. You can check your tread depth with a quarter. If your tread depth is below Lincoln's head, then you need to get your tires replaced. Anytime a safety or driver assist technology is activated, you've made a significant error. Your car has went off the road. You always want to be aware of your road conditions. You don't want to drive to the edge of the road or the soft shoulder. You'll go off the road. When a blind spot warning detector detects a vehicle, it is most likely by your A-pillar. Your A-pillar is between your window and your windshield. It's that long piece of metal that supports the windshield and your driver's side or passenger side window. In the event of an accident, the authorities will use the jaws of life and cut both A-pillars, the one on the driver's side and passenger side, and literally pull the roof back. What is the benefit of an automatic braking system, AEB? It allows the vehicle to control itself in the event of an emergency. Safety belts provide maximum protection when you are seated. Straight up in the seat, you want to have the first belt across your torso, the second belt across your waist to protect you in an event of a frontal impact, and the seatbelt would lock. It has a ratcheting system. Driver's education instructors are typically licensed professionals. They undergo extensive training. Which foot should you use when controlling the gas and brake? It is your right foot. We want to pivot our right foot between the brake and gas. Our left foot belongs in the dead pedal. In the United States, 90% of vehicles are automatics. The other 10% are manuals. Then if you have a manual, you're going to use your right foot for the gas and brake. You're going to use your left foot to push in the clutch to deactivate the clutch from the flywheel, thereby shifting into first gear, clutch, second gear, clutch, third gear, clutch, fourth gear. You must have good clutch control when parking and pulling off, or the car will lunge forward and then you will lose points. Who should use the Dutch reach when exiting the vehicle? The driver and all passengers. Because pedestrians are walking curbside, we don't want to swing open our door. On driver's side, cars are going by, bicyclists are going by. So we really have to be mindful of who's around us, what's around us. Many states have financial responsibility laws. You must have insurance. And if you don't have insurance, you cannot be driving your vehicle. Many states in the Midwest have those financial obligations. Carrying proof of automobile insurance is required by law to prove you are financially responsible. What does this mean? If your car hits a McDonald's, your car hits a building, your car hits a fire hydrant, your insurance company has money to cover you in the event of a mishap. A mishap is you hitting something. If a large animal appears in your path of travel or in your area, you want to practice braking. You want to try to steer at an angle. We never want to hit anything head on, and we don't want to veer because we can lose control. What documents are you needed to require at a traffic stop? Your license, your registration, and insurance. If you are under 18, you're going to be on a permit level. If you're over 21 and you've never attended an official driver's education class, you're going to have something called a TIP. If the sun is ahead of you, you should position your sun visor down and angled toward the windshield because you want to be able to see left, middle, and right. You want to be able to see and be seen. What is the proper tread depth in your vehicle important? It allows you to maintain good traction. It allows you to be able to have a shorter stopping distance. If your tires are worn out, then it's going to take you longer to stop. If it rains and you're going to have hydroplaning, your tread depth is low. You won't be able to channel out all the water. So tread depth is important. You should be rotating your front tires to the rear, your rear tires to the front every 5,000 or 7,000 miles. Your front tires wear out first because if you make right turns, you make left turns, eventually the front tires are wearing out from the outside in. The back tires are rolling all the time. So you want to take the front to the back to the front, and then you cross them so you have even wear on the tires. When planning to turn in heavy traffic, you should prepare to get into the proper lane 2 to 3 seconds ahead of time. This is courtesy. This is giving people time to react. You never want to wait to the last second because this can cause you to get rear-ended. Research has shown that completing a driver's education class will reduce your chance of injury, and also insurance companies may offer you a discount if you complete a state-certified driver's education program. So that's something to consider because you're going to have lower insurance. Searching for a specific driving-related clue is different in different environments. This is true. If we were in the UK, we have double-stacked buses. We have people coming from left to right, right to left. If we're in Houston, Texas, where I am now, there's huge volumes of traffic. There are multiple lanes. There are a lot of heavy trucks. There are people carrying materials. If we're in Detroit, which is the Motor City capital of the world, we have people leaving downtown Detroit to get on I-94, to get on the Lodge, to get on 275. You need to know, and I'm by Route 290. So if you know about 290, you know I'm in Texas. So you need to become familiar with those areas and understand where the airport is, where fuel stations are. And if you're driving a Tesla, because there are a lot of Teslas in Texas, say that real fast, there are a lot of charging stations. So you need to know your charging range. You need to know and predict heavy traffic. You need to leave early for the airport because you want to arrive there early. You're going to have a lot of lines. You're going to have the security search. The distance your vehicle travels from the time your eyes see a hazard to you know it's a hazard is called perception distance. You see an animal running out. Your eyes see it. Your eyes tell your brain tells the muscles in your leg to fire, to hit the brake. Detecting potentially threatening objects or conditions in traffic depends on an organized, aggressive search. You want to look left. You want to look right. You want to check your mirror to make sure no one is tailgating you. The area you can see around your vehicle is called field of vision. So you want to see all the space around you. Your peripheral vision is the most important. That is your left and right vision. That is people coming in your field of vision. That's cars coming in your field of vision. You got to be able to know how to react. When driving on an expressway, how many seconds should you travel ahead and search? 20 to 30 seconds. To steer straight forward and look far ahead toward the center of your lane of path travel. This is true. You always want to look ahead as far as possible. Pretend you're in community college. You're looking down the hallway. Pretend you're in high school. There's your favorite teacher. And then you have homework. And you see me and I see you because I'm looking ahead. Pretend you're in the mall and there's someone who you like. You see them. So you always want to look ahead to prepare for situations that need your attention. Research has shown us that driver's education programs lead to safer driving behaviors. So I would recommend all of you take an authorized driver's education program where you can learn as much as you can. You must stop at all intersections just before the stop line at the intersection. In railroad, stop before the cross, look and listen. Always look and listen for railroads, trucks, railroad cars, and railroad trains always have the right of way. When preparing to make a three-point turnaround, pull to the right side and stop. Maneuverability drills are really important. I have some videos up that you can look at. So you always want to practice steering, reversing in driveways. If the driveway is on the left, I've got to pull past the driveway. I turn the steering wheel to the left. The rear will go to the left. The front will swing out to the right. If the driveway is on the right, I've got to go past the driveway, turn the steering wheel to the right. The rear will go into the right. The front will swing out. When you predict your path to travel will cross another vehicle, you're predicting a conflict. A conflict is where your car will strike another car. Driver's education programs cover such topics as traffic laws. When another driver is tailgating your vehicle, it's best to allow greater space in front of you. You can't protect the space behind you. People will tailgate you, but you can control the space in front of you. Always keep room. I tell you to have good speed, good space, and a smile. When a vehicle passes a fixed object, what is the most important factor when determining how far you are? The speed of the vehicle. You want to start counting once the car passes that 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. Typically, it's a car length for every 10 miles an hour. So if you're going 50, you want to have 5 cars. If you're going 30, you want to have 3 cars. So you pick that stationary object. Once you pass it, you want to start counting. If you must leave the roadway at a high speed and no open area is available, you should steer to something soft. You never want to hit something hard, a tree, a rock. Steer and aim for something soft. What's the best way to keep from getting involved in an emergency driving situation? Continually searching for vehicles, searching for cars, keeping space, being a defensive driver. If you just joined, we're talking about how to drive, how to pass your test. Driver's education is a formal program designed to teach individuals how to operate a motor vehicle safely. I am a state certified driving instructor. I work in public schools, I work in private schools, and I work for some of the country's largest third-party driver's education schools. The key factor when driving in the city is to allow for seeing everything. Pedestrians walking by, lights changing, people running across the street, delivery trucks backing up. You always have to be aware and be ready for unexpected situations. The single biggest cause of a crash, drivers running into things. You're saying, what? This is true? Yes, the single biggest factor of someone having a crash is running into something. So you want to reduce your speed, you want to keep space. When you must handle several hazards at the same time, the best thing to do is to adjust your speed and position. Either you're going to speed up to avoid something or you're going to slow down to avoid something. The best method for controlling consequences in a crash is to avoid a head-on collision. Head-on collisions are the most dangerous because when you have that type of collision, your speed and the other car's speed is quadrupled. And this is when you have a horrific crash and people don't have a good outcome. The driver has the least amount of control over the space in the rear. So this means you want to have good speed, good space, and take your time. The large truck on the right and large truck in the middle of the lane of the 3 lanes of traffic going in the same direction, you want to pass it quickly. So what is the best thing to do? You want to try to pass the truck on the left. There's a shorter blind spot on the left. Trucks have 4 blind spots: left side, right side, front, and back. The right blind spot is much longer. But what if I can't pass? Then you want to get through that right side, get through it as quickly as possible. Right-of-way laws are written to who must yield the right-of-way. If you're driving on a 2-lane highway, the final decision whether you should pass or not depends on who gets to the vehicle first. When you're driving through neighborhoods, if there's a car and you're close to the car, you should pull over to the right if we're in the United States. If you're in the UK or India, Australia, you pull over to the left. In the United States, about 85 to 90% of our vehicles are automatics, and the other 10 to 15% are manuals. In the UK, it's total opposite. When joining traffic by turning left, the gap to the left is less because you're turning across traffic. Left turns are the most dangerous because you have oncoming traffic and you could get hit. So we want to move forward into the intersection, not under the light. This is the light. If we move under the light, we won't be able to see it. So I want you to come 3/4 of the way up. I want you to look to the left. The danger is the left cross, not fighting, but a car or a bicyclist that you don't see coming from your left. And if you don't look, you're going to turn and hit a bicyclist or hit a pedestrian. So you got to check that sidewalk. You got to check that sidewalk. You got to check oncoming traffic. When clear, I want you to turn in the nearest lane. Keep your turn short, keep it smooth, keep it effective so you can properly accelerate through the turn. Acceleration through the turn is really important. A lot of beginners are scared to push the gas, so we don't accelerate through. We could get hit by cars coming through the intersection. Cars pulling out might pull out in front of us, so don't be scared to accelerate through the turn. I have some really good videos up that talk about that explain that. Many high schools and community colleges offer driver's education courses as a part of their curriculum. You're required to complete these courses and do assignments. Also at community colleges, you can learn how to ride a motorcycle too. That's a little bit more advanced. Collisions occur on curves because drivers are going too fast. You want to reduce your speed because centrifugal force will pull you straight off the road. And if you overturn, the rear of the car will spin out to the left or right. So you want to go into your turn smoothly and you want to be consistent. Driving in a rural roadway can be especially hazardous due to deer. Let's talk about the dangers of driving at night. You get very tired. It's harder to see. There's a glare on the window. So you want to look to the right edge of the road. It's called the edge line or fog line. A vehicle is driven on a curve. It tends to go in a straight line. You identify a potential hazard. You must decide what to do. Am I going to speed up? Am I going to slow down? Am I going to cover my brake? Am I going to go to the left? Am I going to go to the right? The instant you observe a conflict, you need to check your mirror. You need to see who's behind you. Is it a truck? Is it a car? Can I get to the left? Can I get to the right? When you are looking far and near, you are searching. The one thing that I want to tell all of you is look. Look to the left. Look in the middle. Look to the right. I have to see eye movement. And when I see eye movement, you're going to be more consistent. If this brought you value, like, subscribe. And if you really like this type of content, subscribe to the channel. I'll be going live later this evening. I want to say thank you guys and have a good day. Bye.